In this video, I'm going to be going through all the gear that I use for shooting weddings as a hybrid shooter. So whether that's just doing the photography, just doing the video, or doing both together. Hi, my name's Jules and I'm a wedding photographer and filmmaker based in Yorkshire in the UK. In this video, I'm wanting to go through all of the equipment that I'm going to use for the 2023 wedding season as a hybrid shooter. So sometimes I will be just shooting the photo, sometimes the video, sometimes both, sometimes by myself, and quite often I'll be shooting with my wife or another shooter. But the thing is, I need to have enough equipment because I'm shooting with my wife, or if I'm shooting by myself, to be able to cover both photo and video either separately or together comfortably. And so in this video, the idea is to show you my entire kind of kit that I will take to weddings, and also the bag and how I carry that bag around with me. Now, my aim is to have the simplest, most efficient but effective setup. I don't want to compromise on being able to deliver full ceremony and speeches and the documentary video coverage when doing both photo and video. So although I don't want to have loads of equipment, I do need to have enough kit so that I can do the job the way that I want to do it, at the quality and the standard that I want to do it. Now, you do not need all of this kit that we're going to be discussing today to capture a wedding. What you do need is the bare minimum. You can photograph or film a wedding with a fraction of this stuff. But the idea is here I'm covered for like a variety of situations, different eventualities, and I'm ready to go no matter what. I don't have to think about whether I took something out of my bag and it's not in there when I need it, because I was shooting just a photography job last week, and now I'm shooting both and I haven't got all the kit that I need. But there will be some times, there's a few weddings coming up now where I'm just doing video and I will just have the video kit in there. But then when I start doing photo and video jobs, and I know I've got a few of those coming up, maybe mixed in with some just photo or just video jobs, I'll make sure I just take everything with me, so that the only thing I ever need to take out of my bag at the end of a wedding is the batteries to recharge them, the memory cards to download them, and then everything goes back in its place. And I know that it's there, and I know that all the accessories and stuff that I might need are there, so I don't need to worry about it. So let's go through all the gear that I'm using to shoot hybrid weddings in 2023. We're going to start with cameras. I'm not going to go into massive depths on each camera and why I use it. I'll just give a brief overview. We'll start with the Sony A1. Obviously, if you know what this camera is, it's an extremely capable and expensive camera. And I've been shooting on this now for the last 2 years. It's definitely my favourite camera, as you would expect, and it basically allows me to shoot both photo and video. It's the processor inside it is very quick. It responds quickly. The memory in it, the buffer, it gets rid of the data quickly. So I don't. If I take a lot of frames, whether it's stills, shooting on a high burst mode to do confetti or something, or whether I'm doing video and then switching between photo and video, it is the fastest camera at doing that. And it basically just gives you every functionality you can imagine. The autofocus is amazing. It can shoot up to 8K. It can shoot 120 frames a second, slow motion. You don't get crop or anything. It just is an amazing camera. And other than the odd time it has kind of randomly wanted to turn off or turned off, which has only happened probably on 2 or 3 occasions over 50 plus weddings, 60 plus weddings. But other than that, it's been solid. I'm at the moment, I've got the Tamron 35 to 150 lens on it. Now, this lens I got last year. I shot a whole year worth of weddings on it. It is amazing. Now, don't get me wrong, I know some people don't like zoom lenses. They prefer to use primes. And I've got primes, and I think there's definitely a good use for primes. But for the way I shoot, doing photo and video, I need to be able to get lots of different content quickly, lots of different angles quickly. And I sometimes want to be able to do that from further away. This lens is a game changer. It really is. It's at 35. It's an f2, which actually gives you some really nice look. As good as a prime would, or some primes would. And then even at 150, it's only 2.8, and for me, that's good enough for most situations. It will take some at 150, the compression and everything that you're getting, it gives you some absolutely gorgeous looking portraits. Obviously, you don't have to shoot as far as zoomed in as 150, but it basically for a back angle in a ceremony, you can have it at 150 and it's close enough, so it's perfect. And then you can use it for photo work and basically shoot pretty much all day on this. So this lens pretty much stays on this camera the whole time. I might do a bit more of a review about using this lens in another video, because it'd take me ages to go through it. But this to me is like the ultimate camera setup. You've got this amazing camera that you can do everything on it. It shoots photo and video equally as good as anything else pretty much on the market. Yes, it can have a tendency to overheat in high frame rates if you're using it for quite a long period of time and you're hand holding it. That's what I've found. Although I know it will do 4K 25p for quite some time, and I've got a video that if I've put it up yet, I will link it in here, where I talk about how long the cameras will go for in terms of continuous recording. But it'll do an hour and a half continuous recording in most conditions, no problem. So basically, this is just the ultimate beast. And then what I've got on the bottom of my cameras, all of them have got the same plate. So they've got a 501 Manfrotto 501 style plate attached to them. These are different sizes. Some of them are smaller because I've bought aftermarket ones from Small Rig or another company like that. Some of them are the Manfrotto ones that are much longer, and they're a video style plate. What I'll say is, this plate, the reason for me using it is because I do video as well as photo. I need something that will go on my tripod heads, and I've got the kind of Manfrotto video heads on my tripods, monopods, etc. And also the gimbal that I use, the Ronin S, that has the same type of quick release plate. So the idea being that these quick release plates, this style quick release plates, are on the bottom of all my cameras, so that all of the cameras can be basically used to go on one of the tripods. So I can put any of the cameras on any of the tripods or monopods, on the gimbal technically. And then I also attach these Peak Design strap anchors to the bottom and the sides of the cameras. So one on the plate, one on the side of the camera. And then I can attach the Peak Design slide straps, shoulder straps or harness straps to them. And then I can basically walk around with them on a strap, which is really convenient for like handheld video stuff and also doing the photography. But then I can easily unclip them and just put them on top of a tripod or monopod for video shooting, or on the gimbal, and it works amazingly well. I've been using this sort of system for the last couple of years, and even though I've looked at all the other types of harnesses and ways that you could carry your camera, I cannot imagine something that's as versatile and effective as what I'm doing here. Some people might not like the idea of having two separate straps that you're kind of wearing across your body, but I don't have a problem with how that looks. It's very functional. If I want to carry just one camera, I'm not worrying about a double harness being unevenly balanced. And for most of the time, I've got two cameras on, and then I can take one off and put it on a tripod, no problem. I can even carry more than two cameras on those straps. I could put 4 cameras and carry 4 cameras around on a strap if I wanted, which is going to look a bit daft. But there are times where I just need to move quickly and I haven't got enough hands to carry all this stuff. Well, if they've all got straps on, because I've got 4 straps for all the cameras, then I can just sling them all over my shoulder and carry them really easily without having to worry about putting them all away in a bag or anything like that. Okay, the second camera is the A7 IV. This has got the Sony G Master 16-35 2.8 lens on it. So that's a really super wide, well, not super wide, but a wide zoom lens that goes into 35. So basically, with this combination of cameras and lenses, I've basically got all the way from 16 through to 150mm covered, and they're both, you know, they're 2.8 at the narrowest, at the widest, sorry. So you can basically cover the whole wedding day on that, pretty much every situation you can think of, and you've got it covered, and that's why I like using that combination. The A7 IV is perfect for, it basically does nearly everything that the A1 does for less than half of the price, but it isn't as good. You know, I've used the 2 cameras now for the last year together, and I will always pick up the A1. I just prefer it. Everything just works better on it. What I will say is that the A7 IV is more than capable as a wedding photography or videography camera. The only thing is that it crops in. The thing that annoys me a bit when I'm doing video is it crops in at 60 frames a second quite a lot. But other than that, it's bang on. And obviously, if I'm doing wedding photography, I'm going to use these 2 cameras because they're both excellent in terms of doing photo, but they're also both good at doing hybrid. So that's like a typical setup if I was just doing photo, those 2 cameras. But obviously, I'm talking about hybrid, so I'm also going to want a more video focused camera, which is why I've got the A7S III. The A7S III is obviously more video focused, but I have taken lots and lots of photos on this in weddings, and other than if you were cropping in massively into the photo in post-production, you will not notice a problem with the quality of the photos that come out of this. I've printed them myself to be really big, and I'm happy with the quality. And no clients have ever questioned the photos that they've been delivered from this camera. So if you are using it for hybrid, I think you can get away with it. Would I be taking the whole day's worth of photos and the portraits and things like that on it? No, but in a pinch, if that's what you've got in your hand, it will do the job. But from a video perspective, it's obviously amazing. I won't go into it because it's been around for a few years, this camera, and there's lots and lots of reviews out there on it, but it basically is brilliant for long continuous shooting. It doesn't crop in. It's got the 120 frames a second shooting, and I think it's an amazing camera. Sometimes I wish it was just I actually prefer using the A7S III to the A7 IV. I think it's a better camera, and so I just wish that it had those more megapixels from a photo perspective. But again, if it did, maybe it would be the same as the A7 IV. Maybe that's the thing. It's because that one's got more megapixels. On this camera at the moment, I've got a 24mm G Master, so 1.4 lens prime, which is kind of what I typically use. I either use that or the 16-35 for gimbal work. This is typically what I will use for doing my gimbal stuff. That's why it's got the 24mm on at the moment. But it basically will be used as the main video camera. If I'm doing mainly video, it will be used as the main video camera, and I will use this over the A1. The 4th camera I've got is the Sony FX30, which is the one that I'm filming on right now. On that at the moment, I'm using a 16mm lens, which is quite wide, but with the crop factors probably somewhere in the region of around 24 to 30 something mil. I'm not exactly sure, it depends what you're filming it in, but it's wide enough for doing quite a lot of different things. But obviously that one has also got a fan, it's more video focused, and I've tested it so I know that the continuous run time is solid on that camera. So that's kind of my main second angle for video. So effectively I've got two video focus cameras in the A7S III and the FX30, and I've got two photo focus cameras in the A1 and the A7 IV. But to be fair, all four of them can be hybrid cameras if they need to be. In terms of additional lenses, I do have a 70-200 in the cupboard, which I'm not planning to use very much at the moment. It might be something that I sell. Occasionally I will take it to a wedding if I feel like I need the extra reach that I'm not going to get from the 150. So if I'm doing photo and video and I feel like I need another longer lens, it will come with me. But that will be by a case-by-case situation. I've then got the 85 G Master, which is a beautiful lens. It looks, the stuff that comes out of it looks amazing, but in terms of the focus speed and things like that, it's not brilliant. So I do use that more for video and then the occasional portraits. It'll basically be used usually on the A7S III, but occasionally the A1. And I will use that between the 24 and the 85 for different video shots, depending on how I'm shooting. I've then got the Tamron 28-75 2.8. That gets used mainly by my wife. She prefers a zoom lens, and she prefers that kind of range. So she will use that usually on the A7 IV because that's her kind of preferred camera. And then I've got this APS-C lens, which is a 18-105. So that will go on the FX30. And again, that's now why I don't really need the 70-200, because with this I can get to, on the FX30, I can get to about over 150, somewhere between 150 and 200 mil, and that will basically be really good for back of a church, trying to get nice and close to what's happening at the front of a ceremony. Okay, so I've got plenty of spare batteries. The Sony FZ100 batteries, I've got 14 of them all together, which is typically, I have never had to use any more than that for doing both photo and video, or just video. So there's plenty of batteries. I'd rather have more than I need, and then they're all charged up, ready to go, rather than thinking I'm going to run out and I'm going to need to charge some extra. So that's why I kind of have that many batteries. There are the 4 Peak Design straps that I've already mentioned. So I've got one for each camera. That way it's easy to transport them. And like I said, they've all got the same plates on the bottom and the Peak Design anchors, so that we can attach them to the straps or the tripods. In terms of memory cards, they've all got the same memory cards in. I use these integral memory cards that are V60, so they will shoot most of the types of frame rate that you can do in this camera. There's only like 1 or 2 of them, I think. The codecs, I think it won't record to these. You'd need a higher capacity, but I never use those anyway, so I just have 2 of these in each camera. These are the 256 ones. I do have a set of 128s in the A7 IV, but I'll probably upgrade them at some point to the bigger ones, and then I know I'm never going to run out of memory at a wedding. I've also got a sleeve with spare memory cards in, just in case I have to change any memory cards out for any reason. And I've also got some in there that I can give to second shooters should I be shooting with somebody that's kind of independent from me, so I can give them the cards and then I can just get them back off them at the end of the day. Onto audio equipment now. So first of all, I'll go through these. I've got these little elastic mic sleeves, and I've got these Velcro straps. These are great for all sorts of things, situations, but typically you're going to use them for attaching one of my microphones, one of my audio recorders, to a handheld microphone or something similar to that. So I always have those available. I've then got these little dead kittens that will go on the smaller audio recorders or lav mics. Should we be recording outside and you want to reduce wind noise. I've got this kind of bigger dead cat that will go on top of this Zoom recorder. I have this Zoom recorder, it's a Zoom H2N, and basically This will be capturing either ambient audio, or this is like my backup audio that I will put near to the ceremony or speeches that are happening, and then I don't really use it, but it's there in case I need kind of a backup because something else failed. I've got this Rode Video Micro small shotgun mic. This one is good because it's smaller. I have got the Video Mic Pro Plus, but I don't really like to carry that around unless I'm going to be using it for maybe a commercial job or something like that, simply because it's quite big and it's got its own power, whereas this one is powered from the camera, so you don't have to worry about the battery being charged, and it's a lot smaller. I don't really use shotgun mics very much, but this one's also got this dead cat that goes on and just goes on the front. So if I've got an outdoor ceremony and I'm wanting to make sure I've definitely got backup audio, or I'm wanting to just capture ambient stuff outside without the wind rustle, this is really handy. I've then got the Sony TX650s. These are perfect for just clipping on. These are my microphone of choice for weddings because they're so easy to use, and the compromise with the audio quality, you could get something better, but actually I think this is more than good enough for a wedding, and it's just so easy to use that I use those 90% of the time. I have got 4 of them. I used to have 5. One of them stopped working, so rather than replacing it, I got something slightly different that I'll go on to now. This is the Sony TX800. This is very similar to the TX650 in how it works and what it does, but it's, as you can see, it's just a square version rather than it being a more longer pencil type of audio recorder. It works pretty much exactly the same and gives you exactly the same results. You could argue it's slightly better quality. I can't really tell, but I like to use this because sometimes, especially for like women's dresses or something like that, or jackets and things like that haven't got a pocket and you just need to be able to clip it onto the actual jacket itself, these are really good. The weight distribution's better in them, so I use these, and I had one of them. I've just bought a second one, and that's basically because I do find I use this quite often, and sometimes there are a lot more occasions at the moment where it's been handier to have this than it has to have the Sony TX650, and that's why I got another one. I've got 2 Tascam DR10Ls with lavalier microphones. These are really great for weddings, but I just tend to not use them. I got them quite a long time ago. Before you could get them in this country, I had to import them from America. There are now better options probably out there in terms of quality for the same price. Something like the Zoom F2 or something like that. But what I find is these still do the job. They work great, and if I do need something that's slightly higher quality or a slightly different type of attachment because the person that I'm miking up hasn't got a piece of clothing on that would work with the TX650 or 800 and you need that lavalier option, then I've got these with me, and I do use them for commercial work as well. Last thing on the audio is the Rode Wireless Go 2 kit. I have this in there because I do use it for commercial work, and also it does come in handy in very few situations for weddings. I think I'd use it more now because they've updated the firmware, and the recording internally inside of these things is much better than it was before, and it's much more user friendly in terms of taking the files off the actual device rather than worrying about the wireless transmission and things like that. So for some situations this is great, and I have it in my bag as an option because you never really know what you're going to face, and sometimes this is the best way to go. Okay, so on to lighting. I tend to carry around a flash with me, especially if I'm doing photo and not just video. So I'm going to have this Godox V863 in my bag. I love this flash in terms of its usability. It's really easy to use, and it's quite cost effective, especially if you're comparing it to like a Sony brand of speed light. On top of it, I've got a mag mod thing so that I can put grids and stuff like that on top of it. And here is the XT2 transmitter, which is great for if you're doing any off-camera flash stuff. I have these in my bag that I carry around with me just in case I ever need to like backlight something or have the light at a different angle and not be on camera. But typically I'm carrying this because I'm going to use it as an on-camera flash, either for a bounce flash or a direct flash on the dance floor, or for some of those funky editorial type shots that you're starting to see being more popular now. Onto drones. So I've got the Mavic 2 Pro drone. I've had this for a few years. It's my trusty steed. It doesn't get used for a lot of the wedding day, but I do usually get it up for some establishing shots and the occasional photo with a venue or group shot. I've got a spare battery for that and the controller, so I carry them around with some spare propellers, and they'll be also going in my main bag. I've then got the Ronin S gimbal. I've had this now for about 4 years. I got it when it first came out. It's a great gimbal. There are a lot better ones now on the market that are lighter, more powerful, etc. But to be honest, it's not something that I use a hell of a lot. So until it breaks, I just thought, what's the point in replacing it? This is usually something that I would have in the car and get it out for certain parts of the wedding. But my plan is this year to kind of have it strapped to my bag so that I can just keep everything with me, and then if I need to use it, it's there, rather than me having to go back to the car and get it. Now, literally all of this stuff is going to be going in one bag, the bag that I'm going to carry around with me, which is heavy, yes, and it is a bit of an experiment because I've not done it like that before. I have had a different bag which I didn't keep absolutely everything in. I just kind of got bits out through the day when I needed it, but I decided that I wanted to make things as simple as possible, and for most weddings just be able to take one bag. So all of this will go in that one bag, and I'll show you that at the end of the video. I do have some additional bags. I've got this little backpack here, which at the moment has got the DJI Avata drone in. That's an FPV drone, which I want to incorporate. I want to try and, for some weddings, certain weddings when it makes sense, I want to try and incorporate a little bit of FPV footage. So I've got that in there because I can't obviously fit all of this and another drone, so I've got 2 drones in the main bag. I'm not going to use it at every wedding, so I've put this in a separate bag so I can carry that separately and use it just when I need, because it's going to be like for special stuff. In this quite substantial roller bag, I've got all the additional lighting equipment that I need. So I couldn't carry all of the lights and other flashes that I might use on a wedding day in my main bag, and nor would I want to, because most of the wedding day I'm not going to use it. But when it gets to the night time and I'm going to be doing stuff on the dance floor potentially, or some creative off-camera flash or lighting for video, then I've got a few different options in here. So this will stay in the car, the idea being I won't need it till the night, and then I can just get it out to set up stuff at night. I'm not really going to use it during the day for most weddings. In here I've got 2 Rotolight EOS's, and I've got 2 Godox AD200s, as well as a couple of additional speed lights. So I've got plenty of lighting options in there. I only would need to use them for, when it's dark or the dance floor. This is another roller bag, the same as the other one. This has basically got all of my live streaming equipment in there. So for live streaming, I'll have a couple of different options. I've got an A10 Mini Pro, which I can use, and I've also got YOLObox Pro, which, as well as all the cables and everything that I'll need and power supply, I can carry this around so that I can do live streaming in lots of different situations. Obviously, if I'm not hired to do live streaming, this stays at home, but I've got its own bag and it's ready to go, because that way if I'm doing live streaming, I can just bring this bag and know that everything's in there. I've got a bunch of different tripods, monopod light stands. I don't bring them necessarily to every single wedding. I know I'm going to use at least 2 tripods or a monopod if I'm doing video, so they usually come with me. I've then got stands for lights should I need them, and also flashes for doing off-camera flash stuff, so they'll go in a different bag. And then this is the main bag. So this is the Timber Axis version 2 32 litre. It's huge. It is a carry-on bag for aeroplanes and things, I believe. I will be trying that shortly and let you know. But essentially, I bought this bag because even though it's not as fancy looking as something like a Peak Design or something like that, I knew that I'd be able to get all of the stuff in here. It is quite heavy without anything in, but I guess that's the trade-off of being able to carry all this equipment without having to worry about having to go back to the car back and forth for different things through the day. I know I can just, if I'm doing photo and video, I can just set everything up. It's all in this bag. And that's what I wanted. I wanted it to be efficient and I wanted it to be simple. There are occasions where I might not have to carry absolutely everything, because if I'm doing the wedding with my wife, she will have her kind of messenger style bag, and she will carry some bits of this equipment, probably a couple of the cameras, so I won't have the entire weight the whole day. And obviously if I am just doing photo or just doing video, I might not take absolutely every single piece of equipment, but the idea is that there's a space for it in here so that I can carry everything. I'm going to be doing some real life behind the scenes weddings where I'm using this equipment, using this bag, so you'll be able to see that if you keep following the channel and subscribe to it. And then towards the end of this video, I'm going to be showing you this bag with everything in it. So hopefully that's been useful for you, and if you've got any comments, any questions, I'd love to hear from you. Put them in the comments section or DM me on Instagram. Thanks for watching the video, and take care.